Undertale and Deltarune are games that heavily rely on two main things, plot and characters. These two things are the primary factors as to why they're such great games. Don't get me wrong, the gameplay is fine, and the UI is good, but these two things are what really stand out. The likeable characters and interesting plots complement each other so well to create a game that the majority of players would be invested in. This being said, you would assume that every character would show off enormous amounts of plot and personality and... okay, what the fuck? As you probably know, C.Round means a lot to me. I mean, they're in the majority of my videos, whether it be in-game, thumbnails, etc. So it's quite obvious that they're fairly important to the channel. The video is essentially as to why I think they're important, as well as why they're just such a perfect character in terms of writing, design, and importance to the game. First, we're going to talk about design. C.Round has a very simple design. They're a short, red checker with the face of a dog and some nice, thick, short legs. Now, if we talk about C.Round, it's generally the same, just a crown and, legs. Now, you're probably asking me why this matters. The first reason is that this generally wholesome vibe C.Round has makes him seem, well, pretty darn cute. A bit dumb. But this dappiness definitely has a place in Deltarune. There's so much malicious intent to Susie. For starters, when she violently attacks them, it tells the player how cruel she is, and makes her change of character later on feel so much more important. We'll get to that later, in the writing section of this video. Also, C.Round's features tell us how much of a fearful creature they are. They're quite clearly very heavy due to the fact that, I mean, look, it's a 10-foot tall checker, and most of that 10 feet is leg. It's gonna crush you into buckets of blood. So this single checker manages to be both an adorable foe and a terrifying menace, just through the fact that it has legs. Okay, so writing is the bread, butter, jam and almond milk of Toby Fox games. You probably know this by now if you've played, I don't know, 5 minutes of one of his games. Now, all characters have fantastic writing, and C.Round here is no exception. Not only for their fantastic dialogue with phrases such as, "The unexamined life is not worth living," and "Only the dead have seen the end of war," and "Hee hee, am checker." But there's also some good character writing centered around them. As we've discussed, C.Round is more or less a way to change how the player views Susie. In a single fight, we see her change from someone who has a fair point in why she does what she does in the game up until now, to a frankly selfish and rash individual, erring on the side of being foolish. Now, this character development light, trademark, is really important to the entire development of Susie in Chapter 1. It makes it feel like Susie's change in character during the final act of Chapter 1's story feel so much more drastic than it would otherwise. Also, this interaction adds some more character development to the character of Deltarune with the largest cult fanbase, Rose. Before this scene, after the C.Round fight, Rose was a wholesome, awkward, dorky, and generally two-dimensional character. But this scene gives Rose a new side. He actively scolds Susie, granted in his awkward sort of dorkish way, for fighting C.Round and not helping spare it. It really gives us a new side of Rose, one that tries to be kind, still holds the rules of the battle system close to his heart. Now, these developments in character are really important to the story of Deltarune, and so it was extremely important for Toby Fox to make it obvious that these characters have changed over the course of Chapter 1. Now, this character development was first established at the C.Round fight. So, what's a great way to reinforce this development? Well, by literally doing the same thing, of course. The second C.Round fight is really important for showing Susie's change of heart. She's a lot more willing to help C.Round than to spare it. But it's still a believable change of heart, since Susie still shows some of her old self by throwing Rose at the checker to save it. And this is actually good, since it tells us that Susie hasn't completely overhauled her character over the span of a few hours, and also tells us that Rouse is now willing to go along with Susie's rather extreme plans of battle instead of punishing them. This really goes to show how important C.Round is, being a sort of arbiter for character development, which is really one of the most important things for writing a character in a video game, movie, TV show, you name it. Especially in a video game made by Toby Fox. Like, seriously, Undertale Pacifist Fruit is essentially Character Development Simulator 2015. So, I love C.Round. Like, I just spent the last few minutes talking about why I love them so much. They're cute, funny, and honestly a really good way to develop characters. Like, I know a lot of this video seems like a joke, and frankly, I cannot see the line between joke or serious anymore in this video, but I am genuine and honest when I say C.Round is one of the best plot points for character development and character growth in any video game I've played. But don't just take my word for it, of course. Here's a satisfied customer's review of C.Round.
C.Round is an extremely important character to the plot and development of Deltarune. I like them very much. Okay, is that good?
Yeah, that's fine, yeah.
Okay, when can I get my money?
But another reason as to why I love C.Round that I've not talked about yet is probably the most obvious thing. When you watch this video and look at my channel, the first thing you'd probably see is my profile picture. That's right, C.Round is it's sort of my brand, I guess. I use it as my face on most online presences I have. I actually still remember the first time I decided using them as a profile picture. It was during a time on Steam around 2019 when I'd often change my profile picture to whether I thought it was funny or fitting. I found this zoomed image of C.Round and I thought, sure, why the hell not? And it just sort of stuck. I then used it for my Discord, my YouTube, and everything else I had. To this day, I still have an image on my phone and computer of C.Round at all times in case I need it for whatever reason. I thought back then and still think that C.Round is perfect branding, since it's cute, recognisable, colours pop, and still a bit odd. So, long story short, I just really like C.Round. After all this time, I hope I convinced you that C.Round is, at the very least, a really well done character. If it's not for how they develop the story, or even just how they look. Yeah, that's really all I have to say, to be honest. Bye.